Brew Strong is brought to you by Blickman Engineering, home of the top-tier brewing stand. Visit them online at blickmanengineering.com.
It's time for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think, Jamil Zainashev and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters.
Greetings.
Here we are. It's another lovely Martinez Santa crawl going on while we're doing our shows. People down there getting their drink on.
That's right. We got lots of folks in the studio today, which is unusual.
Yeah. We got the heretic pouring, of course, because I'm here. We got
pouring.
You're pouring, not whoring.
Not heretic porn.
Not porn.
No, you said heretic porn, but pouring. Heretic pouring.
Yes, pouring beer. Yes. Right. I'm glad we cleared that up.
Naturally.
And then 21st Amendment's out here with us, and we got Track 7 across the way. They do a great job with the beer crawls around here. It's kind of fun and quite enjoyable.
It is.
And speaking of fun and enjoyable...
Hey, our fabulous sponsors, AdamandEve.com, correct?
Blickman Engineering, for God's sakes.
Oh, darn, I muffed it again.
I love when John's in studio.
Yeah, right.
Changes everything.
It just messes everything up. I mean, it just makes everything so much better. Our fabulous friends at Blickman Engineering, BlickmanEngineering.com with two N's, and probably a couple other letters in there. Yeah, check them out. They got all sorts of cool stuff. To innovate, as JP would say, innovating your brew day. They got the Tower of Power, they got the Hop Rocket, they got the
Brew Easy setup, which is brand new.
Ooh, what is that?
It's a all-in-one brewing system. And so kind of
sounds like it makes things easier.
It does. It's kind of along the same principle as the brew in a bag. Where it's a single vessel recirculation system and so on. But it's all in one, and it really simplifies brew day and very small footprint.
So you say similar to brew in a bag. So brew in a bag, but take it up a notch. If I know Blickman Engineering,
recirculation pump and temperature control. You add all your water up front and just let it go, and
I like that.
Brews for you.
That sounds really good. Can he make one about 35 barrels in size?
I bet he could.
Right. I'll have them ship it to Fairfield, California. I'm interested.
It's a sweet little system.
Well, go to BlickmanEngineering.com and check that out. Check out all the other stuff they got. If you get a chance, say hi to the Blickman folks and tell them you appreciate that they paid for the show so you didn't have to. All right. Today we've got a wonderful special guest in the studio, Colin Kaminski.
Cheers.
Of Downtown Joe's and so many other things. And the Water Book. He and John did the Water Book together.
That's right.
And I think one of the most important things to bring up is that neither one of you, in your dedication to this thing, you gave no, you didn't throw me even a slightest bone. Colin, John, you know what I'm saying here.
Didn't I?
Yeah, John, you're thanking everybody under the freaking sun, everybody on God's green earth. John's going like, well, and there's this guy and that guy, and for me, not so much as a howdy do.
Well, Mike McDowell got left out too. So
hey,
you're in good company.
I don't care about McDowell. I'm talking about me. Don't try and smooth it over here, Colin. At least in Colin, I guess I was generally included in Colin's because Colin's went something like this. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's everybody thought I was a turd in the punch bowl. Screw you. Am I capturing the spirit of what you wrote there?
Well, actually, I thanked everybody.
thanked everybody who didn't believe in you.
I thanked everybody that believed in me for helping me, and I thanked everybody who didn't believe in me for giving me the desire to achieve.
So, John, at least there's that. At least Colin, I could say to some friends, see, I believed in Colin from way back when.
Well, I'm gonna start crying now.
That's where I'm in. John, not even that. I cannot believe
I put your picture
that I was
in there.
totally dissed. Yeah, he's desperate for a picture of a boiler. Deadline looming. Who does he call but me?
My buddy.
Here I'm taking pictures. But did I get any help there? No, heck no. Well, there you go. He doesn't want me. He wants my boiler.
You're just so important. We take you for granted.
Yeah, that's a likely story.
You ever use that line on your wife? You're so important.
It works about as well then, too.
Yeah, I'm just as likely to give you a blowjob as your wife at this point. Just saying. Oh, yeah, I assume we're on in the morning.
So why don't we take a short break? We can smooth Jamil over, Colin. And
children wandering around there. We can drink some more beer and all that stuff. Yeah, today we are going to... we're going to get into the water book, more. We talked about water quite a bit. But I think it's a great opportunity to have Colin's perspective as well.
Right.
Maybe talk about on the pro level how that affects things versus, on the homebrew scale. Yeah. What kind of changes that involves.
How's your emphasis change as you make the transition?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I know a ton about your water source, Jamil. So I'm curious as to how you guys have had to interact with it. So I think...
I don't know if I'll share that information with you now, Colin.
The people that run the lab there that test your water are friends, and I've spoken a lot with them about your water source. So I'm a little curious. You've got some challenges in your water source, so
there you go.
So finding your solutions, I think, will be useful to our friends here too.
Well, we'll find out. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll get into the challenges of. Water on a bigger scale. Back after this.
When you hear Blickman Engineering, think innovation, passion, quality, and customer service. Blickman gear is designed by brewers to give you a sense of pride in your equipment. At Blickman, they know what makes brewing a pain and build gear that makes it fun. Like the intuitive beer gun, a completely different approach to filling bottles. The Therminator Wort Chiller, a new take on a plate chiller that's sized for flow, performance, and the high groundwater temps homebrewers face every day. The Brewmometer, a brilliant weldless thermometer design with brewing parameters right on the dial. The Autosparge, ultimate simplicity for preventing an overflow or running your mash tun dry. And much more, like the modular top-tier brewing stand, conical fermenters, and their Boilermaker brew pots. With more cutting-edge equipment coming soon, keep up with the latest from Blickman at blickmanengineering.com and stay on the cutting edge. Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters, this is Jamel Zainashev, and I love a bold, hoppy beer, one that spits resin in your face and makes you cry uncle. There are a lot of great hoppy beers out there, but at Heretic, we want to make something as bold, dank, and resiny as possible. We use hops at every chance we get, including multiple dry hop additions. The result is Heretic Evil Cousin. This light golden, 8% Imperial IPA has an easy malt character that helps take the edge off the massive bittering, but it takes a back seat to the in-your-face hop character. We make sure this beer finishes dry so the hops can jump out and slam you in the taste buds. When you can't get enough hoppy goodness, Evil Cousin is your cup of tea. Cheers.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small. Single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit!
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
What does craft beer mean to you? Is it a delicious way to support your town's local brewer? Or perhaps it's the perfect beverage to pair with those delicious meals at your favorite restaurant and at home. Regardless of whether you're thinking of pints or pairings, pilsners or porters, craftbeer.com is the site where craft beer lovers come together to learn and share. Craftbeer.com is brought to you by the Brewers Association and celebrates the best of American craft beer and its brewers. Craftbeer.com is the best place to find craft beer events, recipes, great feature stories, the most up-to-date brewery listings, and resources for your next beer tasting or dinner, like style guidelines, pairing mats, and charts. Get the inside scoop on new beer releases and special events from today's craft beer insiders, and chime in to share your own knowledge, perfect pairings, road trips, recipes, and more. Craftbeer.com, celebrating the best of American beer.
Back to the two guys that know how to turn beer into beer. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. It sounds like we're very manly from that rejoinder.
That's right.
We turn beer into beer.
That's right.
So it's false advertising or something, I don't know.
Well, you know, we are drinking beer from porcelain cups with saucers.
With our pinky extended.
Yes.
All right, so the water book. And I really thought that this show, with both of you in studio, would really be me drinking beer, you two guys talking.
Well,
that's really the way to go. Huh?
It could be, but I think our listenership has heard me talk about water quite a bit.
Yes, and they love that. You guys probably rubbing one out to the sound of your voice right now.
I don't know. Well, anyway.
Pictures, please.
Oh. You know, the soap on my windshield after the show was kind of counter to that, but
that white stuff was not soap.
Oh, damn.
Well, I enjoy your show too. Yes.
But anyway, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of put a pro spin on this, since we've got two pro brewers in the room, and
one that cares about water and one that doesn't.
Yeah. We could do point counterpoint.
Okay. Go for it.
Jameel, you ignorant slut.
Yes, that's me.
Now you respond, Jay-Z.
No. So I'm curious about your water supply. So you actually have one of a real challenging water supply. You get water out of the North Bay Viaduct, and it comes from a slough that about 100 feet above it is a slight depression, and in that slight depression they raise cattle. And that's really not an issue. It's kind of a pond sometimes of the year, but it's a really big issue when there's a lot of rain and all of that cow poop overflows right into your water intake. And they have to go crazy trying to make that safe to drink, because they're only concerned about E. coli count. And so what they do is they add a bunch of chlorine at that point. And when I've gotten it, I got it for 10 days one year during one of those heavy rains. And it was the hardest water I've ever had to deal with.
Are you sure we're talking about the same thing? Because So my understanding is the water that we get. So does Berryessa feed into this aqueduct?
No. So there's two water supplies, and I think you're too far north to get the Berryessa water, even when they're running Berryessa.
We get Berryessa, and then we also pull from, I believe, the Delta.
Yeah, that's the North Bay Viaduct.
We get Berryessa Delta blend.
Okay, so they do have the ability to put Berryessa water. So
it's
so the Berryessa feed. Now you have another issue with, and that is there's a big long canal that brings Berryessa water down to you, and every once in a while it gets full of algae. So what they do is they poison it all with copper. At that point, they have to shut off the Berryessa water supply until it all flocculates down to the bottom and dies off. And then they turn you back on.
Right.
That's a big problem for Budweiser. Their contract, AB Fairfield, their contract specifies Berryessa water only.
Right.
And so when they're doing that algae bloom treatment, that's a problem for them.
Yeah, I've heard that. So somebody told me, somebody who actually sells and maintains the water treatment plants in the area, they were telling me that we were actually better off not doing 100% Berryessa water because our water was actually far more consistent.
Yes, they have the ability to blend into consistency, just like if we were blending tanks in a brewery.
Yeah, and as far as the water goes, from what we had tested, from what I've seen from the reports year round, to we drink the water that comes in off our tap. We carbon filter it, and then we drink it. So we taste that water every day.
You have to.
And, so far, I'm really pleased.
Good.
I drink that water every day, and I think it's seems to be pretty good stuff.
In 10 years...
It's far better than Pittsburgh, I'll tell you that. Pittsburgh water, there were days when it's like ass, and it was like weird colors, weird odors, just plain weird. And, we would, fill the kettle and we're just like, oh my God, what is this? And then we'd dump it and then we'd fill it again. And, and you're just worried about brewing.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that issue so far.
That's good. The only time I would worry about it is in a heavy rain. That's the only time I've had the issue. In 10 years, there was a period of 10 days where I refused to brew. And literally just said, okay, I just can't use this water. I got out of the shower in the morning and I smelt worse than when I got in, and that says a lot.
Oh, that really does say a lot. Did you shower today? I don't know.
Nope, didn't like the water. Sorry.
All
right. You brought up an interesting point, though, Jamil, where you said, in Pittsburgh, the water would change colors and so on. And just this last week over in near where I live, down in the Los Angeles area, a town there which normally gets its water from mountain aquifer there up against the foothill. They've been switching over to LAWDP water, and because there's the local source uses chlorine, and then the LAWDP uses chloramine, they're getting the water from the DWP is turning yellow in the customer's taps because the chloramines, the ammonia in the component, is dissolving rust that's inside the iron pipes. That they've been passive up to this point. Same water, same chemical composition.
Right.
But now with this new change to a chloramine residual, it's dissolving some of that, and people are saying, "Hey, why is my water yellow all of a sudden?" So, that's an issue that other breweries might experience too.
Right.
Well, and that iron has a very strong off flavor. So
yeah.
I've had beers that taste just like blood. Usually from commissioning new breweries, you see the first couple of batches leach iron off of dust that was left in from grinding, or other places in the system where something hasn't been passivated yet, and you get these first few batches that taste like blood.
Well, and for home brewers as well as pro brewers, you should be running acidified water through your process.
Yeah.
You should run some cleaner through it to degrease everything.
Yep.
And then you should run an acidified batch of water through it. You don't want to run just tap water to rinse it. I mean, you want to run something around the pH of the wort that you're going to be running through it. And I think that really makes a big difference in the resulting flavor of your first batch.
When I commission new stainless, the first thing I do is run a caustic cycle.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I do is I run a nitric phosphoric acid blend.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next thing I do is run isoalpha acids through.
Mm-hmm.
And the isoalpha acids seem to passivate something that none of the other treatments do. And so what you literally just heat up water with isoalpha acids.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it with new kegs. I do it with something Sierra Nevada taught me. Do it with new kegs. Do it with new tanks.
What's the flavor that you seem to get if you don't?
It seems to pull your isoalpha acids out.
Oh, so it just sticks more.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
so
that's the
you get a
flavor
reduction in bittering or something.
Yeah, for the first batch.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden everything else is fine.
Yeah, those... so for the listeners, he's talking essentially, hop extract. You dump some in with your acidified water, run it through this process, and you'd get, it clings to the surfaces, probably fills in some...
Yeah,
at some microscopic level is binding to the surfaces.
I've gone to a lot of lectures with Ken Grossman, and being in the same Master Brewers Association
right.
district, right?
I thought it was like high school detention.
Yeah,
we're lecturing you on your behavior.
I've only heard him ask one question ever, and he asked,
"Where's the bathroom?"
He asked a stainless expert why passivating with isoalpha acids made a difference, and the expert didn't have an answer. Only question I've ever heard him ask.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I don't think they even know it's Sierra.
Well, and the that hop bittering it coats everything, and that's one of the reasons why you really can't. You can never have a formula or calculation that actually calculates how bitter a beer will be.
Yeah.
People keep sending me emails like, well, no, if you really took enough measurements at enough points in the process of producing the wort, you could make a calculation, so you're wrong. I'm like, it really doesn't matter, because when you ferment the wort, so much of that clings to the hops, the yeast cells, to the surfaces of the fermenter, to any bits of trub that you have and all that. It makes a wild amount of difference. How much, you blow off, how much you don't. Yeast strain, all that plays into it. And so it's always just, your cell count, the size of the cells, how much surface area, it's all just a guess. Yep. So you will never, ever come up with a formula that is going to tell you precisely what the IBUs will be in a beer. That said, I used Rager on something that just has bittering. And I calculated out to be 33 IBUs, and it was like 32.7 when we measured it. I'm like, okay, yay!
On beers that are over 50, I'm usually off by about 10 IBUs.
Oh, yeah. Once you get past a certain point, forget it. And anything with late hopping, dry hopping, anything like that, forget it. You don't even bother. Don't discuss it. Don't talk about it. Just,
if it tastes good, it's right.
Yeah, just use the formulas to kind of give you a relative to what you're doing and when you're trying things, and what it turns out to be, and you say, well, I need it more bitter. Okay, then use your formula to say it's more bitter, and then try it again.
This is actually an interesting problem. So I have a beer that I want to make more bitter. I can't make it more bitter. There's nothing I can do to
reach
make it more
limit.
Bitter. I've reached the limit, and
saturation. There is a saturation point, and the whole other thing is then it relates back to water. So, and also you can get hops that have a more pronounced bitter character to them. Higher cohumulo and things like that. That can be kind of a harsher bittering, and use something like that if you really want it to seem more bitter. But there's only so much isoalpha acids that'll suspend in the solution. The rest drops out. You can actually taste the bottom of, you make a keg of double IPA, Imperial IPA, whatever. You let it sit for a while. That first pour off that keg is going to be far more bitter than the rest of it, because it'll actually settle out.
Interesting.
And the boil, you see a sheen of oil on the kettle too as you start to approach that.
Right.
And that oil is really hard to clean off the kettle. As you're draining out of the kettle, you'll see that oil start to cling to
everything.
walls.
Yeah. We spent a lot of money on chemicals to clean our kettle and make it shiny and spotless. But getting back to water, hot bittering, it's greatly affected by the sulfates in the water, right. And
also pH
as well. That's one of the things that we're very cognizant on our double IPA is making sure that the pH is right, because when the pH is too high, it's kind of a duller hop character. pH gets lower, the hops are they pop a little bit more. You get a little more aromatics, you get a little more flavor, you get a little more, it's a little sharper.
And then below that, the hop character starts to go away altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a sweet spot in there, and I find it's different for each recipe. There's a sweet spot. So as you go too high, you get harsher, but maybe a little bit more present bitterness. But the aromas start to fall apart, and then you get into the sweet spot. And then as you go below that, and really low, like 5.0, 4.9, you start seeing the hop character go away altogether.
Yeah, just the utilization decreases with lower pH.
But
is that where it's from, Joe?
But even
isomerization,
even still, there's only so much you can dissolve into a solution. So you take a giant can of CO2 based alpha acid extract and dump that in. It doesn't matter what the pH is; only a certain amount of it will stay around, as well.
So you get as much in the boil as you can,
right?
And then you go and add yeast,
right?
And the yeast starts stripping it out. And the CO2 can
you can get 100 IBU after it's fermented, like immediately after it's fermented, and you can measure 100. But by the time all the yeast settle out and everything else, and the stuff that's in solution settles out, you're down to about 80.
My record in a glass is 92. I've been able to hit 92 in the glass, and so that's after draft lines. That's everything.
How far away from it were you standing?
Yeah, right. So that's my record.
That's a pretty good arc,
that's pulling samples out of the faucet and shipping them to White Labs.
Cool. Yeah.
The recipe calculated well over 160.
Right. Yeah. There's just only so much that will stay in solution.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things. But the mineral composition makes a huge
difference
impact on the same IBU measurement, different perception. You get you can put there's some people that use real high cohumulone hops, and you get a very harsh, biting kind of bitterness. Same thing with a lot of sulfates, things like that. You get a much harsher bitterness. It's where it can be unpleasant, or you can have the same IBUs and have it much softer.
It's really interesting if you talk to Tom Shellhammer up in Corvallis up there. He doesn't believe that cohumulones matter at all. And
I'm not sure they do.
And I was with him and a really old hop researcher at a dinner one time. And the hop researcher's retiring, and he wants to put his 2 cents in before he goes away for good. And he's like, no, cohumulones absolutely matter. And here's where you're wrong. And the hop researcher describes that if you don't sample 100 milliliters in a swallow, that you can't taste the hop character. Now, 100 milliliters, that's about a quarter of a bottle in a swallow.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
And I was going to say, that's a pretty good size load to swallow.
And Tom Shellhammer had been using 20 milliliters as a sample size for his tastings. And Tom Shellhammer's one of the best statisticians I've ever seen. Not only is he a gifted researcher, but he knows more about multivariate statistics than anybody I've ever encountered.
We should mention that he's a professor at Oregon State University.
Yeah.
Oregon? Like liver, heart, lung?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a university.
I was thinking of another organ, but Sorry, you have to get one sexual reference every 15 minutes or we lose customers.
He's contractually bound.
15 seconds.
You don't want the listeners to get bored with this, you know.
They were bored years, like year one. Well, that's very interesting. So you need to take in 100 mils before you really. And so, what was what's the theoretical around that?
You know, he wasn't able to provide a theoretical, although they'd both done lots of tastings, and over the years the tastings had gotten smaller. You know, if you have a limited tasting panel,
right.
You don't want everybody to be hammered before you can get good data.
That's interesting.
So the tasting size had gotten smaller in the course of this researcher's career, and he thought it was to the detriment of beer.
You know, certain things I can taste just by almost touching my tongue to it. I just know what's in there. You know, you have and rarely am I surprised. You know, we were talking about there was a beer, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is really sweet. Boy, this thing must finish like 6 Plato." I just barely touched it to my tongue. I'm like, no, it's like half of that. It's, 3 Plato. Sure enough, they're like, oh, no. So we measured it. But, you have a sense of certain things that, and you don't need the 100 mils. But I could see that there's got, that's the other thing. There are times when I'll have a beer, and it's not until I've consumed an entire pint when I'm down to kind of the last bits, I'm like, you know what? It's not what I thought it was before. It's this.
No, yeah.
And so you're saying that's one of the things in it, that cohumulone thing, the harshness of the cohumulone. So do you believe in, I guess, long story short, do you believe that the cohumulone level in a hop really does?
I do. I do. And for beers that I want to be very quick drinking beers, like if I'm making a light beer that I want somebody to drink a lot of, and I want to just sell pint after pint after pint to the same customer, then I'm really focused on cohumulone in the first edition.
Low cohumulone.
Yeah, I want low cohumulones in the first edition.
Right.
And if it's something bigger and bolder, and I really want to slow them down, I don't care so much. Recently switched one of my recipes from very low cohumulone recipe into a higher cohumulone recipe. Because I was looking for some other flavors, not just for that reason. And it actually helped the sales on a pale ale. But when I went the other way on my wheat and my amber, I went to low cohumulone hops. It very much increased my sales. And one of the things I do, because I get to watch people drink my beers, it's not like a brewery where I'm shipping a keg out and I've got to try to get feedback off the internet or whatever. I'm literally walking by the table, and there's Belgian lace on a glass, and it shows you every swallow somebody's taken. And I know when I've got a batch that somebody really likes when there's 4 or 5 swallows in a pint.
True. Yeah.
When I see something that's got like 15 swallows in a pint, I know I'm not going to sell that person another pint of that. And I need every customer to drink 2 pints. That's my goal. Is if you order one of my beers and you only liked it enough to buy 1 pint
and pour it in with a funnel,
good job.
I think you can reach that goal. I don't think that's an issue.
I do a lot of my recipe formulation based on sales.
Yeah, no, commercially that's what you need to do. A lot of times I think people don't understand that it's not about, once you start commercially producing beer, it isn't about, this will be fun or that'll be fun or I'm going to be creative and this and that.
Purity and virtue.
Yeah, it's about people drink that crap. I don't care what it is. I'll tell everyone, I don't care what it is. You tell me what everyone will drink a ton of, I'll brew it. No problem. I don't care. If I hate the beer myself, I'm still good with it. No problem. Chances are that if people would drink a lot of it, it's going to be a great beer. And I would appreciate it.
I have a beer that's 23% of my sales, which is a pretty significant figure.
Well, there you go.
And I hate it.
Well, all right.
And I absolutely hate it. Every time I try to change it towards something I like, the sales go down.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear what beer Colin brews that he absolutely hates, and all of you people that go to downtown Chester are stupid for drinking because he absolutely hates it. Back after this.
Are you a member of the American Homebrewers Association? Well, you should be. Members of the AHA can focus on brewing beer, and the AHA takes care of the rest. The American Homebrewers Association advocates on behalf of homebrewers like you to legalize the hobby in all 50 states and make sure that beer laws make sense. Plus, there are many great benefits that come with your AHA membership, like AHA member deals that give you awesome deals at bars, restaurants, breweries, and more. Zymergy Magazine and eZymergy for tons of articles, how-tos, easy-to-follow recipes, and news about the hobby you love, and access to the members-only content on homebrewersassociation.org. But the AHA can't do it without your support. Join today so the American Homebrewers Association can keep fighting for your homebrewing rights. Visit homebrewersassociation.org or join now from the homepage of the Brewing Network website. Relax. Don't worry. It's the American Homebrewers Association.
All right, BN Army. It's trivia time. What's the only homebrew shop with over 1,000 recipe kits, $4.99 shipping on orders over $100, and is also home of the Wolf shirt? The one and only answer is Austin Homebrew Supply. For over 20 years, they've specialized in creating recipes such as the best-selling Texas Blonde Ale, Apocalypso, Hop Bomb 2.0, and Double Chocolate Stout. And they just recently unveiled their small grain kits that produce 1 gallon of beer. Visit austinhomebrew.com to browse their extensive catalog of equipment and ingredients. They also have mini clone recipes of your favorite commercial beers. They're the exclusive retailer of Brew Vent Yeast Fuel as well, Yeast Nutrient, and the all-new Bodybuilder. Follow Austin Homebrew Supply on Google Plus to participate in video hangouts on popular brewing topics. So visit austinhomebrew.com today and make sure you sign up for their weekly email with news and specials. Austin Homebrew Supply, austinhomebrew.com.
BN Army, I'm here to talk seriously for a second. You all are partially responsible for something explosive, and it's time you answer for it.
Moonlight Meadery is exploding.
Yeah, exploding across the country with insane quality meads.
With nearly 70 different varieties of mead on the market, Moonlight Meadery has blown up the mead category and completely reinvented it.
Seriously?
What?
Seriously?
What?
You're paying money for that watered-down mead when you could have a Moonlight mead?
Moonlight doesn't stop at 14% like most meaderies to save 40 cents a gallon. Moonlight meads explode with quality and flavor.
They're a party in a bottle.
Did someone say party?
If you want mead and want the best, you want meads from Moonlight Meadery and will accept nothing less.
Be a part of the BN Mead explosion and ask for, demand Moonlight Meads at your favorite bottle shop.
Moonlight Meads. Girly names, manly meads.
Hey, sign me up for that party.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for any beer style. I want a Cicerone. The Cicerone certification program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
A few things happened 30 years ago.
ARPANET migrated to TCP/IP, and the Internet was born. Revenge of the Jedi was renamed Return of the Jedi and opened in theaters. Mila Kunis and Emily Blunt were born, beginning a rad fantasy in my mind.
But all of that pales next to the fact that HopTech opened its doors and began blowing homebrewers right out of their mash tuns. HopTech doesn't fuck around. Real people shipping awesome shit straight to you. Their new website is fast and easy to navigate. Or just call 800-379-4677 and let badass bitch Jade and Bruin brother Roberto blow their warm load of customer service all over you. So visit the site or visit the store in Dublin, California, and support those that support you. Get your brewing on at hoptech.com.
Hi, I'm Jamel Zanishev, and in addition to my work on the Brewing Network, I write the Style Profile column in every issue of Brew Your Own magazine.
Hi, I'm Sean Paxton, and when I'm not prepping for the Home Brewed Chef on the Brewing Network, you can find me writing articles on how to cook with your home brew for Brew Your Own magazine.
Greetings, cretins. This is John Palmer, and when I'm not writing for Brew Your Own, I'm reading it.
John Palmer, Sean Paxton, Jamil Zanishev. If you love listening to them on the Brewing Network, you'll love reading their articles, tips, and recipes in the pages of Brew Your Own magazine. Join Jamil, John, and Sean 8 times a year in Brew Your Own. And when you subscribe to BYO on the Brewing Network website, half of your subscription price goes right back to the BN to support great beer and food programming. So sign up for Brew Your Own magazine through the BN website today so you can listen and read your way to better homebrew.
Learning to brew has never been so disgusting. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're here with Colin. He's going to tell us how stupid his customers are. Go ahead. Tell us what beer you brew that sucks, but it's 23% of your sales.
You know, it's not that it sucks. I'm actually proud of the work that goes into it. I would just never drink it. And I
drink it.
I drink about a half a pint of it per batch. And that's enough for me to proof the tank and release it.
What beer is this?
It's the Lazy Summer American Wheat.
Oh.
And it's starts off at 10:40. Finishes around 10:04. So it's real dry. And there's not a lot going on. Not a lot of hops. Yeah. Pound and a half of hops in 7 barrels.
Light, refreshing.
9 IBUs.
Easy drinking.
Yeah, not a triple IPA.
Just 9, huh?
Wow. Yeah, 9 IBUs, less than 10, yeah. Somebody told me once you needed 8 to have hops be an antiseptic. So I decided...
7.
Oh, 7?
7.
Yeah.
7's the...
So somebody told me 8, so I used 9.
The believed number is supposed to be 7, I think. Oh, no, I actually... So I've also heard someone else say it's 11.
Or maybe I have to go up in bitterness.
Right. You need to be at 11, dude.
Colin,
it's for the safety of your customers.
What do you wish it had that would make it better, in your opinion?
Flavor.
Have you tried messing with it and the customers were not down, or what?
Yeah. And in fact, actually, I got to the point once where it was like, okay, I put a bag of Munich malt in it. And Munich is pretty strongly flavored compared to the other malts that are in it. And I'm like, okay, these guys just want the least flavorful beer I can make. And I pulled the Munich out of it. And this is after 8 years, 25 hop changes that nobody noticed. And I pulled a bag of Munich out, and everybody complained for the whole tank. So I guess there is something that they do like in it. I would have thought the lighter I made it, the better. But no, they do want a little bit of Munich in there.
Interesting.
Is there any beer you were certain people would love, and it just turned out to be a flop?
Well, you brew every beer thinking people will love it. And then you're like, well, how come nobody's buying the damn thing?
I had one time. There's a brewer 2 brewers at Downtown Joe's died. In the course,
in the tank?
No, in the course.
No wonder it tastes so bad.
in the course of Downtown Joe's history, there have been 5 brewers, 2 of which are now deceased. And
did they explode like drummers?
They're dead,
actually, both were DUIs. And so it's a little bit of a tragic history, in 26 years.
Sure.
Having only 5 brewers is not very many. But we do brew a memorial beer for Pat Worthy. He died just before the brewery opened. And we also do a memorial beer for Rick Graham. And Rick Graham liked a very odd beer that we make called Golden Thistle. So every year we make a supercharged version of the Golden Thistle, and we call it Dix ESB, because his nickname was Dix. And
Who doesn't like dicks?
And right, and it's a fun, sit around in happy hour and watch a bunch of guys walk up to the bar and says, "Yeah, I'll have a tasty pint of dicks."
Mm-hmm. Give me some dicks.
Give me some tasty dicks. But in any case, so 1 year, I just make up the recipe off the top of my head every year. So, I don't really. I mean, I write it down, but I don't really care what it is. You're
so inebriated by the time.
by 8:30 in the morning rolls around when I have to pick.
When he's drunk. Yeah.
And so 1 year, I just wasn't really paying attention, and I was like, "Oh, well, just add 3 pounds of Chinook or whatever hop I added that year as the bittering addition," and it ended up too bitter for anyone to drink. And it's the only time I've ever had a beer where everybody just said, "No, it's just simply too bitter."
Wow.
And so
Chinook's a high cohumulone hop.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and it was well over 100 IBUs, but so is the normal thistle recipe. And so I tried to get it to take on, just by, well, maybe they'll get used to it. Nobody got used to it, so finally it's like I do normally do about 220 gallons. I had about 110 gallons left. I had about a half of the tank, and it had taken a couple of months to sell that much, which normally I sell a tank of beer in 2 weeks. So it was finally like, okay, well, I know how to cure too bitter of hops. I took it off tap, waited a year, put it back on tap, told them it was the new batch. Suddenly it wasn't too bitter anymore.
Yeah, I cannot find that paper, but I read a paper from ASBC, I believe it was, that said it gave a rate for isoalpha's dropping out of solution.
Degradation.
And it was like 50% within 6 months or something. It was huge within a short period of time, and then it trailed off after that. But you could get a like an 80% reduction over the course of a year or something like that. And I cannot find that. I've mentioned it before. People are like, "Well, show me where that paper is." I mean, people in the brewing industry.
I'll look for it. I have it.
Yeah,
too.
they're like, no, that can't. I think I've mentioned it to Brynelson and Mitch and a bunch of people, and they're like,
I know what that one is. Yeah.
What, are you crazy? I've mentioned it to people that they were shocked. They said that can't be true.
It's an old paper
like
too.
50% in 3 months or something. It's something really ridiculous.
It's one of the early hop papers I read, so it's at least 15 years old.
Yeah,
because that's when I started reading.
I'd be curious to see that.
It wasn't the Japanese paper, was it?
I couldn't find it.
No, I don't think so. I think it's. I don't know. It might be out of Coors of England. I've got a binder that has about 1,000 pages.
And I think that the rate could be even faster for higher hop beers.
Yeah.
If you're talking about a 15 IBU beer and the reduction in that, I think that could be much slower. I think it's like anything. When you have a high concentration, you have a high sugar solution. Some of it crystallizes and falls out.
Yep.
I think the same thing is true about highly hop beers. When you go from 100 to 80 in a heartbeat.
Well, and the other thing is we have all sorts of other molecules that want to either degrade or fall out of solution. A great example is when you see a beer clear up. You've got a hop haze in it for a month, and then suddenly it's bright and clear. And they taste totally different when you get that hop haze out.
Right. Yeah, anything that
and it tastes like tannins to me. It tastes like phenols.
Yeah, the proteins are interesting. I came across a bottle of our Berliner Weiss that was a year old,
and crystal clear,
and it grew crystal clear, and it had formed this sheets of protein across the bottom of the bottle.
Yeah.
Turned it upside down. They came out like dime to quarter-sized flakes that were working their way through. It's like all the protein, this hazy, white beer that you want, hazy with the proteins. They had, bonded and settled and formed these weird sheets, and it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, time's the best filter. It's the best tasting filter.
Just about everything. Yeah. Absolutely. Things will settle out. And you're not stripping anything, and it's interesting what time will do, given enough time and settling.
So when you published the book on recipes, I called you up one day, and you were like, Yeah, I don't know. I could probably tell you a recipe like that, but why don't you just look at the book? I'll send you a copy of the book. Just look at the book. And
that's my response to everybody now. And I can look it up in the book. Well, there's shows you can download if you don't want to buy the book.
Google it.
Yeah. And I thought about it at the time. At the time, it was kind of like, the book had just come out. It was kind of like, well, that was kind of rude. And now people come up to me with water questions, and it's like, look. Read the book.
Right.
You're going to have a lot more interesting questions after you've read the book.
Exactly,
There's some really cool questions you're going to be left with.
I spent a year of my life explaining this.
Yep.
All I need you to do is frickin' read the thing. I will give you a copy. Just don't ask me the questions until you've read the copy. All right. Let's take another short break. When we come back, maybe we'll get back onto water. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe we'll just continue having fun. Regardless, we'll be back right after this.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and the freshest ingredients, backed by the best customer service in the business. New items include the Big Oxygen Kit for economical wort aeration using common welding oxygen tanks, and the Unistat line of external thermostats for easy control of both electric heaters and refrigerators. In addition, they've just mashed their new oatmeal stout malt extract, so you can make those tasty winter oatmeal stouts and porters without mashing. Go to williamsbrewing.com today and browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy. The Williams way.
A vial of White Labs yeast is the key to your best beer. When you open a vial of White Labs yeast, you're giving your beer its best chance for a perfect fermentation. In addition to their already incredible variety of yeast, White Labs is proud to announce WLP 90, San Diego's super yeast, now available year-round. WLP 90 is super clean, super fast fermenting, with low esters and has a neutral flavor and aroma profile. It's alcohol tolerant and highly flocculent. For more of the latest White Labs news, click over to whitelabs.com, where you can read reviews of yeast, learn in the lab section, and join the customer club. And if you should find yourself in San Diego, White Labs has a brand new training facility for craft brewers and home brewers alike. Whitelabs.com. Discover yeast, nutrients, enzymes, and more for commercial breweries, home brewers, and homebrew stores. White Labs. It's all in the vial.
Hi, this is John from Grain & Grape. We've been supplying brewers in Australia for over 20 years, and for all that time we've been working to offer the best products and service around, including free fortnightly all-grain brewing demos, 90 varieties of malted grain from Belgium, Germany, the US, Britain and Australia, equipment from brewmasters, kegerators, beer engines from Crown Urns to the humble brew in a bag, heaps of hops, wye yeast liquid and Fermentus and Danstar dried yeast cultures, fresh wort kits made on the 500-litre Brewmaster right here in the warehouse. We also sponsor and support brewing clubs and comps, the Australian National Home Brewing Conference, Aussie Homebrewer Forum, and heaps more. Mostly, though, 100 years of brewing experience means that we can give you the best advice on your next recipe, your new system, or that brewing problem that needs a solution. Mention the Brewing Network next time you order online or by phone to receive half-price shipping. Check out grainandgrape.com.au for conditions.
Tonight is the night.
We bring the creature to life, Dr. Blickmanstein?
Yes, J.P. Gore. Everything is perfect for my next fermented creation.
My doctor, the storm is too far away. We'll never have enough power to isomerize the creature's alpha acid.
Yes, J.P. Gore, we will. For I have in my possession the Tower of Power.
Blickman's new Tower of Power is the evolution of automation. Control hot liquor, sparge, and mash temps like a pro. The Tower of Power is a high-quality gas-fired rim system that works with your current brewing setup. With ultra-precision, the tower can hold your mash to 1/2 of a degree Fahrenheit. Precision and repeatability. The Tower of Power is the answer to automatic, fast ramp times. See more at BlickmanEngineering.com. Bring your next creation to life with the Tower of Power.
Dr. Blickmanstein, with the Tower of Power, you can probably give me an afternoon at the pub to enjoy a pint.
Don't be silly, J.P. Gore. We have beer to brew.
Hi, I'm Jason Harris, the proud owner here at Keystone Homebrew Supply. We're thrilled to be entering our 20th year of supplying this great industry, and to show you, the Brewing Network Army, how much we appreciate your support, we're offering you 10% off your first order on our website, KeystoneHomebrew.com. Just use coupon code BNARMY at checkout, and I'll get your order out the same day. My goal at Keystone Homebrew Supply has always been to have a complete supply of everything a brewer could want. When you place your order online or when you come into our store, it's our goal to have everything on your list and more. One aspect of KeystoneHomebrew.com that we're really excited about is the ability to fulfill customers' exact grain bills. Do you hate to wait? Keystone Homebrew Supply can get your precious yeast and hops to you within just one day if you live between Connecticut and Virginia, and within 2 days east of the Mississippi. KeystoneHomebrew.com. Coupon code BNARMY. I'm Jason Harris, and I approve this message.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. Enjoying each other's company.
Yes.
Having a good time.
Well, we're drinking Heretic beer, for one thing.
Well, you know, the one thing that would make it better.
What's that?
Little surprise package from AdamandEve.com.
I suppose that would do it, yeah. Beer and an inflatable.
We can all whip out our
inflatable
dildos and have a wild old time. If you're looking, you know, here we are, 4 friends, 4 guys having a good time, enjoying some beer, enjoying some discussion about beer.
Right.
And if we wanted to, you know, step it up a notch, perhaps we could order from AdamandEve.com.
I was going to say
get a few fine goods, delivered to us to enjoy. Yeah, you know, you go into the skeezy stores, not so great. You check it out online, privacy of your home. You can even do it mobile. AdamandEve.com on your phone, and you can order all sorts of stuff in the park, you know, at the child's playground, wherever you happen to be. You can go ahead and do your shopping there. But the cool thing is, if you use the order code JAMIL, JAMIL, you will get 50% off just about any one item in their store. So that's all.
Why didn't you tell me this before Christmas?
That's all. Absolutely. I was looking at the site the other night thinking, what would the wife want? Half price on just about any one item, right? That's all the money you're going to part with. And the prices are reasonable to start with. So you pay half price on one item, then you're going to get free shipping. You're going to get a free extra gift so central. I can't tell you about it right now, Colin. I'll tell you later. And you're going to get 3 free adult DVDs in genres of your choosing. You get like anal, Asian, amateurs, MILFs, interactive POV, IPAs, big butts, big breasts, a huge range of choices. You choose 3 free adult DVDs. You get the free shipping. You get the free gift. And all you're paying is 50% off of one item. You pay hardly anything. You get a giant box of goodies that we could be sharing here as friends, intimately enjoying an afternoon together. I'm just saying, you know, you want to spice up your brew day? This is how you do it. AdamandEve.com. Check it out. Use the offer code JAMIL, JAMIL. You're going to get the 50%, the free shipping, the free gift, and the 3 free DVDs. So check it out today.
You can see why I always get kind of confused between Adam and Eve and Blickman.
Right. Well, yeah, they're such similar.
I think Blickman needs an offer code of JAMIL, JAMIL. You're going to get 50% off of a naked photo of John Blickman. You're going to get a free extra gift, so sensual. They put it in like a container and ship it to you. And I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's. Are we
going to talk about water or?
Yeah. So what are we talking about? What were we talking about before the break? What did you want to talk about? You're supposed to be guiding this thing, John.
Right,
I'm supposed to be drinking. You're supposed to be guiding this thing, and Colin's supposed to be actually providing the information.
Okay, so we got to come up with questions for Colin. Okay,
got this thing all mapped out.
Well, actually, before the break, you were saying, you commented, Colin, how your perspective on water had changed and how my perspective on water changed.
Yeah, how has things changed since writing the book? I know when I did the yeast book, it made me rethink certain things about yeast. On the water book, have you guys gotten a different perspective? Has your brewing, Colin, changed since you've written the water book?
Writing the water book both simplified my approach towards water and also gave me a lot wider knowledge of what it was I was doing and why it was working. Mm-hmm. Why I thought my water was working wasn't necessarily why it was working, although the same ideas still worked. Mm-hmm. And that was very interesting. One of the things that was fun about a year and a half ago, A.J. DeLange came up to me and he said, one of the waters I really like to use is just take deionized water and add some calcium chloride, call it good.
Mm-hmm. Like 1 gram per gallon, I think it was was the suggestion.
Oh, okay. Well, I use a lot less than that. I use about a half a gram per gallon in a recipe now. Mm-hmm. And I just went back to the brew house and took one of these really established brands that everybody expects to be the same every day and threw away the water recipe and started with that one. Mm-hmm. And turned out to taste really good. Mm-hmm. And so then now a lot of the specialty beers that I do, I try to start with deionized water and build it from scratch and just kind of play with it. Something that's so expensive that it's something I never considered doing before, compared to just throwing some salts in the water.
Well, I remember when you started at Downtown Joe's, and I'd go down and we'd taste the beer, and you were doing such intricate, measurements and adjustments of your water. And I would say, Colin, maybe just simplify things a little bit. Maybe, step back from that and, don't do quite as much adjusting. Because you were really on top of it. You were trying to make, God's greatest beer. But, I thought you were going overboard.
Well, and I was doing 5-ion analysis every day. Mm-hmm. And trying to figure out, because my source supply was changing so often, that it was really important to me to try to make that consistent.
To make great beer.
So that I at least knew where I was at, so that when I'm formulating my recipes, I at least know what's going on.
Right.
And I was getting alkalinity ranges that were from 60 to 130 parts per million day to day. Mm-hmm. And that's just such a huge impact on the beer. That I wasn't happy with the results. I wasn't happy with the consistency. I wasn't happy with the consistency of the color. I wasn't happy with the consistency of the flavor, and I wanted to get a control over that. So, discovering the Kolb equation and discovering how sulfates and chloride affect the beer, I figured, well, at least let's get a handle on those 5 ions. Mm-hmm. Let's get calcium, magnesium, alkalinity, chloride, and sulfate. Let's get those written down every day, before and after adjustment, and figure out what's going on. And so I did that for 100 batches. And now when I think about it, I really still need to know that alkalinity number. I just, that sets how much acid I'm going to add.
But is that basically it at this point?
And then everything else, it turns out I'm adding so much calcium that it doesn't matter what I start with. I don't really care what calcium I start with anymore. I'm probably starting anywhere from 5 to 15 parts per million calcium. But if I bump that up to 100, 70, anywhere from 70 to 200, the difference, that 5 or 10 ppm difference doesn't make any difference at all.
And that's because you have a surface water source.
Yeah, I do. Because I have that surface water source. So my calcium is very low, and then my magnesium is very high. So even small magnesium additions make a big difference.
Interesting.
But I don't bother to measure the magnesium. I just only add magnesium to specific beers, and then only add a little bit.
Well, when I was brewing, homebrewing, that's all I worried about was just adjusting for pH, acid adjustment. That was it. Everything else I figured was already in the water. Wasn't going to strip anything out, and things turned out great that way. And I think one of the things that people tend to do, and one of the things I've tasted in a lot of different beers from a lot of different breweries, a lot of different home brewers, they over adjust their water. They go to the extreme, and the beer doesn't taste good because they're doing way too much to the water. Whereas if they just started with the water and didn't do anything, the beer would probably be better. And that was always my concern with a lot of water adjustment.
My water makes really good ambers and stouts, porters, things like that, pretty much out of the faucet. Maybe a little bit of an acid adjustment, depending on your grain bill. And add some calcium because it's so low on calcium. But really, that's all you need. And it turned out that when I got there wasn't a pale ale that was regularly on tap. There wasn't an IPA that was regularly on tap. Now I've got a pale, an IPA, a double IPA, and a triple IPA that all need relatively significant water adjustments to hit my mash pH. And there's lots of ways to hit your mash pH, and some of them have more flavor contribution, and some have less. And I find I like the path that leads me to my right pH with as little flavor contribution as possible.
Yep.
Right.
And imagine your American wheat.
And what is that path?
Well, it depends on each of the recipes because of the grain bills. Typically, if I was going to do a new pale ale recipe today, I would reduce the alkalinity down to somewhere between 30 and 50 parts per million with sulfuric acid, and literally just strip it out with sulfuric acid. Now, that leaves me enough sulfates left that I'm going to have to use a blend of calcium chloride and also some calcium sulfate in order to get my sulfate to chloride ratios back. But also, it still won't hit my mash pH. And so I also have to add another acid, and I usually use phosphoric for that. So adding two acids is kind of odd, something that people don't normally do. But I found it very useful in my pale ales. Now, sulfuric acid is not the acid that you want to go home and play with. It's a very dangerous acid. Because my acid lockup is so small, I store it 98% solution, which is really dangerous. Much safer if I would dilute it down to a 1 mole solution. Much easier to do the math too. But I don't because I like living on the edge. But it does mean I do have to dilute it very carefully before adding it to hot water, or it will just boil instantly when you pour it in. And nobody likes to get splattered with acid.
I don't know. Just depends on what you like.
So, some of those things have changed. I've kind of simplified my approach. I've tried to figure out what flavor contributions I want from the water. How can I accentuate the qualities of the beer? I think one of the best feedbacks I got on my American wheat recipe was many years ago, probably 8 years ago. Doc tasted it, and I was adding almost 800 ppm sulfate, trying to push this mash pH into something realistic. And Doc said, I like the beer, but it tastes a lot like minerals. It's just kind of minerally.
Your early beers were very minerally.
Yep, and I've cut back a lot on gypsum additions because of that.
Hey, beers are great now, but early on, I would tell you, I'm like, dude, maybe less minerals.
But as a brewer, you've got to get there on your own too.
But it's like I'm saying, people get too focused on water and lose sight of the, it's forest through the trees type of thing.
Right, and then that's really important. And I went from having no interest in it to having to get over obsessed in order to come back to a place of balance.
Right. Yeah, and I think your beers have gotten so great over time. Initially they were okay. They were better than what was being brewed there before, but they were still minerally. And then, you've adjusted, and I think, they're really, really fantastic.
And there's still room to grow. I've been the master brewer there for 10 years, and I foresee a year from now being able to look at the beers that I'm making right now and going, gosh, I'm glad I got a lot better this year. And I think at any point that you just stop and say, well, that beer's good enough, somebody's going to pass you by.
Right.
And
True. Yeah.
Well, and if you get a chance, check out Downtown Joe's. They're in Napa, so if the spouse wants to go to the wineries and you prefer breweries, then send that dude off to the wineries, and you go to the Downtown Joe's and check out the beers there. It's got some great stuff, great food, and lovely environment as well. And you'll probably see Colin there.
Some really nice raised flower beds outside the brewery. It's outside the establishment there.
So. I always tell people that
you
when
pee in those, John? Is that why you like them?
No, for the wine drinkers. The wine drinkers have made use of them.
All right, there you go.
I always tell people that when they're ready to wash that nasty taste of old grapes out of their mouth, to stop by for a beer.
Stop by. Yeah, there you go. All right. Great show. If you're listening live, stay tuned. We'll do another one right after this. And Colin, you want to stick with us and we'll talk about God knows what? Or
sure. I'm having fun.
Yeah,
me too.
We're all drinking.
My espresso's kicking in. My IPA's about to kick in.
There you go. And if you enjoy this, check out our sponsors. Check out BlickmanEngineering.com. Great folks, and they always innovating stuff. So you can continue to enjoy
high quality
brews,
stuff,
and make your brew day better. And check out our other sponsors. Check out the Brewing Network store. If you go to thebrewingnetwork.com/store, there's books. You can get the water book there. You can get Brewing Classic Styles. You can get Yeast Book. You can get shirts, hats, hoodies, How to Brew, which is the best brewing book there. And you can get all sorts of good stuff there. And when you do, any profit from that goes to the bottom line of the Brewing Network, directly influencing Justin's ability to buy ramen and hookers. And that keeps the show on the air. Yeah. So make sure you do that. And when you do, tell them that you enjoy this show.
That's right, because otherwise they may think you're talking about, some unicorn show or something.
Right, which is a total mistake. You want to tell them you enjoy Brew Strong. Until then, everybody, Brew Strong.
Brew Strong, everyone.